What if the roots and rocks you're ignoring are actually the missing magic in your garden? Welcome to Nailed It Now. Today, you'll see how simple things, roots, stones, old wood, can become beautiful borders and wall art for tiny spaces. This video is pure inspiration, not a blueprint, just a spark. Use what you have, make it yours. And if this speaks to you, I'm not just a channel. I'm someone building a dream with my family, one video at a time. Your subscribe keeps that dream alive. Thank you for being part of it. In a quiet corner of a small backyard, where the sunlight gently kisses the tips of green leaves, something magical unfolds. Not through expensive decor or perfect symmetry, but through a single twisted root, reborn as art. This is not just a wall rack. It is a sculpture of time and patience, carved by nature, now cradling life once more. The root, with its wild curves and deep textures, becomes a stage for tiny terracotta pots, each one blooming with humble herbs like rosemary, basil, and thyme. Their fragrance dances softly in the breeze, inviting both butterflies and memories. The wall behind it is aged wood, dressed in delicate moss, and every morning the light falls just right, as if nature itself is spotlighting your creation. It's the kind of beauty that doesn't shout, it whispers. And in that whisper lies an invitation to repurpose, to reimagine, to slow down. You don't need much. A fallen root from the nearby trail, a handful of pots, and a little vision. Mount on the wall. Let the root speak in its own language and fill the empty nooks with green. It's a humble act, but in tiny gardens, every detail matters. And perhaps, just perhaps, this quiet little corner will become your favorite page in the story your garden is telling. Some gardens sing with color, others hum with silence. But in this small backyard, it whispers, like a gentle stream that once ran to the forest, now reborn in stone. A winding river of smooth white and gray rocks flows gracefully between patches of moss and tiny blossoms. There's no water here, but the movement is alive. In the curve, in the shadows, in the memory of flow. It's a dry stream, designed not to carry water, but to carry wonder. This isn't just decoration. It's therapy. You kneel down, hand-picking each stone, feeling its weight and story. With every curve you place, you shape a path that brings calm, a rhythm of nature made by your own hands. It's simple to start. A strip of land, a few handfuls of stones in mixed shapes, a curve drawn gently with a stick. Add moss between the rocks, maybe a few low herbs like thyme or creeping chamomile. Let nature fill the spaces you leave behind. Over time, wild things will find their way in. No need for perfection. Let it look like it's always been there, as if the earth herself revealed it, not as a project, but as a gift. And in the early mornings, when dew kisses each stone, you'll see it, a river made not of water, but of intention, quietly flowing through your tiny garden. There's something deeply poetic about a twisted branch. It bends not because it's weak, but because it has learned how to move with the wind. And when we bring that same resilience into our garden fences, something quiet and beautiful begins to bloom, not from soil, but from imagination. In this tiny backyard, the fence is no longer a boundary. It becomes a canvas. The one simple wood is now layered with a dance of intertwined branches, each one curling and looping like nature's own calligraphy. No two shapes are the same. No two knots repeat. It's wild, imperfect, and honest. You don't need a workshop or expensive materials to make this happen. Just wander through a nearby trail or a quiet forest edge. Gather fallen limbs that twist and turn, not the straight ones, but the crooked and gnarled. These are the ones with stories in their shape. Let them dry. Let them speak. Once home, fasten them to your fence. Wire works well. Or even old rope. Don't try to control their curves. Let them guide your hands. Maybe you'll create a pattern. Maybe you won't. Both are perfect. To soften the look, let a few vines find their way around the wood. Or hang a tiny lantern in between the loops. What you'll create won't just decorate your garden. It will give it soul. A rustic, whispering soul that tells visitors this space is loved and lived in. Every garden carries a personality. Some are wild and spontaneous, while others are quiet observers of time. And then there are gardens that tell stories. Like this one, where a butterfly seems to have landed not on a flower, but upon the fence itself, shaped entirely from living vines. It didn't appear overnight. This gentle creation was guided, leaf by leaf, with patience and vision. The creeping plant, once just a green wanderer, now wears the wings of butterfly. Each side stretched wide, its curves echoing the grace of nature's own design. The wings flutter not with wind, but with the rhythm of growing days. To begin such a sculpture in your own small yard, all it takes is a simple wire frame, handmade perhaps or salvaged from something old. Guide your creeper slowly along its edges. Prune gently to define shape, and water with care. Over weeks, the lines grow fuller. Over seasons, they gain depth. It's not about precision. It's about wonder. A moment of pause for anyone who passes by. Drawn not just a plant, but to the quiet imagination behind it. And when sunlight falls across the leaves, casting butterfly-shaped shadows across the garden bed below, you'll know this is more than gardening. This is storytelling with green. And in the smallest of spaces, magic like this can still take flight. Sometimes, the most beautiful furniture doesn't come from a showroom or catalog. It rises from the ground itself. Here, in a quiet corner of a small patio, a miniature table stands proudly. Its base is not carved by human hands, but by time. A thick, twisted tree root, weathered, imperfect, magnificent, now supports a polished circle of stone, as if it was always meant to. Moss clings gently to the hollows, tracing the memory of rain and forest floors. This table doesn't demand attention, yet it captures it. Soft and strong all at once. It invites you to slow down, to set down your cup of tea, to rest your tools, to pause between tasks. It is not just a surface, but a statement that beauty can be reclaimed and purpose rediscovered. You don't need a forest to make one like this. A walk through the woods, a visit to a fallen tree, Or even a local wood pile might offer you a root with character. Clean it, dry it, and seal it with love. Pair it with a found stone, a wooden disc, or even an old metal tray. Let the base stay raw, let its age and story show. In small gardens, such a piece becomes more than furniture. It becomes a conversation, a memory, a quiet kind of art. And when you sit beside it, hands warm around a mug, the world will feel just a little more rooted. Not all borders are built to separate. Some are created to connect. Textures with colors, nature with nurture, stillness with growth. In this tiny patch of green, where space is measured in footsteps, not strides, a line of irregular stones stretches like a riverbank. They rest calmly, one upon another, each carrying a history of rain and sun, chipped corners and soft moss stains. Between them, like little surprises, sit ceramic pots, not placed with perfect symmetry, but with intention. Some hold mint that dances with the breeze. Others cradle the soft, fuzzy leaves of oregano. And tucked at the far end, a tiny pot spills over with chives, their slender shoots reaching toward the light. This isn't just edging. It's a living shelf, a growing frame, a border that breathes. Creating one is simpler than it seems. Gather stones, mismatched, flawed, natural. Let them lean and settle where they wish. In the gaps, place small planters, clay, ceramic, even recycled cups. Choose herbs or flowers that thrive in your sun. Water them not only with care, but with presence. What grows here is more than plants. It's an invitation for butterflies to linger, for neighbors to pause, for you to sit, even just for a moment, and notice how beautiful small things become when arranged with love. In a world that moves so fast, there's something profoundly healing about shaping time with leaves. Here, on a humble garden wall, a heart grows, not carved in stone, but gently trained in green. The vines trace the rhythm of care, each tendril guided patiently until it embraces the perfect curve. It's more than a shape, it's a feeling made visible, a quiet declaration of love, for the space, for the process, for the life that grows at its own pace. The wall itself is plain, its surface aged by sun and wind, but framed by the lush outline of leaves. It becomes a canvas of intention. Below, a wooden bench rests as if waiting for a story to be told, or simply for someone to pause, to breathe, to notice the beauty we often walk past. This idea is simple, yet soulfully rewarding. You'll need a wire frame or a soft guide to begin. Choose a vine that's forgiving, like ivy or creeping figure. Let it take its time. Water it. Trim with care. Adjust the path as needed, but don't force perfection. Nature has a way of finding her own symmetry when given freedom within boundaries. Soon, your wall will whisper something back. Not loudly, but enough to remind you that even a heart made of leaves can bloom with meaning, if you only take the time to grow it. Along the quiet edge of an ordinary wooden fence, something magical begins to take root. Not from wealth, not from perfection, but from wonder. Weathered roots, once tossed aside, are now curled like guardians around a tiny world hidden in plain sight. Between their twisted limbs, miniature fairy homes rest gently, made from bark, acorns, and smooth garden pebbles. They don't shine with luxury, but they glow with story. Soft moss carpets the base like a forest floor, and tiny lanterns, perhaps borrowed from old necklace charms or keychain lights, sway from hooks made of wire and imagination. It feels as if you've stumbled upon a secret, one you almost don't want to disturb. Creating something like this doesn't require much. A few discarded roots, gnarled, knotted, imperfect. A bit of moss, real or artificial. Pieces of scrap wood, pebbles, bottle caps, or clay. Let the roots guide the placement. Let the forms emerge, slowly and freely. This is not just a decoration. It's a space for story, a whisper to your inner child, or to the children who walk past and believe, just for a moment, that someone tiny and magical might live there. And in a world so often full of straight lines and sharp edges, this little patch of whimsy feels like an exhale, a reminder that beauty doesn't have to be loud to be real. Sometimes, it only needs to be grown from what others forgot. Some things are too wild to be tamed, yet perfect to be welcomed. This root, once tangled deep in the earth, now lives again. Not buried, not forgotten, but lifted and given purpose. Mounted gently on a quiet wall, it becomes a shelf unlike any other. Not straight, not polished, but full of character, full of life's quiet curves. Its hollows cradle tiny succulents, a trailing vine here, a chunky aloe there. Between them, a handmade candle flickers softly in the breeze. It doesn't look like a store display. It looks like it belongs, like it grew there, like it has always been part of this garden wall. What makes this shelf so special is not just the shape, it's the feeling. The way the sunlight touches the root's ridges in the late afternoon, the way shadows fall beneath its curls, the way it softens even the hardest concrete wall into something more alive. You don't need tools or rules to make one. Just an eye for beauty and a bit of time. Let the root guide you. Don't fight its form. Let it lean. Let it hold what it can. Not too much, never too heavy. This is a shelf that reminds us. Not all things need to be perfect to be useful. Not all lines must be straight to feel right. Sometimes, the best spaces are those filled with stories. And nothing tells a story better than a root that once held the earth and now holds light. There are places where nature gently takes over, not in chaos, but in quiet grace. And sometimes, all it needs is a simple fence. This backyard doesn't sprawl wide. It doesn't stretch far, but it reaches upward. And in that vertical reach, something magical happens. A jungle begins to grow, one leaf at a time. Creepers like ivy and morning glory dance across the fence, layering their shapes and colors in lush, living patterns. Flowers peek between the green, soft purples, whites like whispers, reminding you that even a wall can bloom. The beauty here isn't just visual, it's atmospheric. The way sunlight filters through the dense foliage creates a feeling like stepping into a secret garden that wasn't supposed to be found. And it all starts with intention. To build your own vertical jungle, you don't need a grand design. Start with a fence you already have, wooden, wire, or bamboo. Plant vines at the base, giving them space and support. Let some grow wild, let others be guided. Mix flowering varieties with leafy trails. Layer different shades of green, and soon the textures will take on a life of their own. This is gardening not as structure, but as surrender. Let the plants climb, cascade, and curl. Watch how they soften sharp edges, how they muffle noise, how they change the air itself. A fence once built to divide can now become a portal. To peace, to beauty, to a world where space doesn't limit what can grow. There's a kind of silence that only moss can bring, the kind that softens footsteps, holds moisture in the air, and makes even time seem slower. Here, in this tiny garden path, flat stones rest quietly on the earth, not placed in rigid lines, but settled, as if they've always belonged there. Between their edges, green moss grows thick and velvety, creeping gently into every crack. It's not there to be perfect, only to be peaceful. The light is kind. Morning sun filters through nearby leaves, casting dappled shadows that move slowly with the wind. And just beneath your feet, nature weaves a tapestry, part stone, part living softness. The wildflowers at the edges seem to nod in approval, their petals reaching curiously toward the moss. Creating this kind of path isn't difficult. It begins with imperfection. Use uneven stones, age, cracked, found. Leave space between them, then let moss fill what your hands do not. You can encourage it with a little water, shade, and patience. It will grow slowly, steadily, beautifully. And as it grows, so will the feeling. Each time you walk across this path, it will feel like stepping into another pace of life, one where the ground breathes quietly beneath you and the world becomes softer. In small gardens, you don't need many steps to feel far away. Sometimes, just a mossy path is enough to carry you someplace peaceful. Not all borders are built to hold things in. Some are there to let life spill gently out. Along the small garden bed, pieces of driftwood rest. Aged, silver by time, their edges softened by water and wind. They do not stand straight. They do not match. And yet they belong. Their curves cradle the soil like old hands holding something precious. In the quiet hollows, nature finds a new place to begin. Tiny herbs, thyme, oregano, maybe a bit of creeping mint, peek from within the wood, growing not from pots, but from the memory of trees. The scent is gentle, earthy, honest. Around the border, scattered petals and the soft crunch of mulch remind us that this garden lives, not just decorates. To create something like this, you don't need perfect lumber or store-bought edges. What you need is the willingness to see beauty in what's been forgotten. Driftwood, fallen branches, weathered trunks, they carry their own character. Drill a pocket here, hollow a groove there. Let plants take root in what once seemed broken. The contrast between wood and green, between stillness and growth, creates a rhythm that feels almost musical. And the best part? It changes with every season, every rain, every breath of sunlight. This isn't just edging. It's storytelling in layers, told by bark and root, by leaf and bloom. And when you walk by it each day, you won't just admire it. You'll remember how it was made. Slowly, intuitive,